The Creative Jungle podcast is all about speaking to and learning from inspiring entrepreneurs, creatives, and well-being experts. In each episode, we discuss their unconventional lives and journeys, what they've learned and how they've got to where they are now, any tips they can share with you so that you too may live a much more creative and happier life.
The podcast is brought to you by us, Dan and Sam. We're a couple who set up M.Y.O and Creative Jungle Company, and we are all about helping people get creative and bringing a little bit more creativity to life and business. We host over 14 different arts and crafts workshops from our central London studio, virtually offsite at events and festivals. We have a range of creative kits, and we also run creative thinking workshops. So having helped thousands of people, we think we know a thing or two about helping people get creative and perhaps being a little bit happier. We hope to see you in the studio at some point soon too.
Be sure to subscribe so you can hear about future episodes. Right, let's get started. Here's the next episode.
Hello. Today on the podcast, we have the lovely Olivia Huntingford, who is first and foremost an artist who started her art business in 2015, drawing portraits, pets, cars, houses, weddings, and everything you can imagine. She's also founder of London Makers Market, a monthly market supporting makers that was happening in real life, then went virtual, but is now happening in the old Royal Naval College in Greenwich regularly. Yeah. And we'll find out a lot more about that on the podcast. She's been to the M.Y.O studio a bunch of times too, and you can find her at Olivia Huntingford, Huntingford, and London Makers Market on Instagram, and also londonmakersmarket.com.
We'll get into the market soon, but first we wanted to learn about you, Olivia, and your creativity and your tips for happiness. Now, I didn't know this, but what inspired you to study photography at university? I know you studied art, but I didn't realize you started it with photography. What inspired you to go down that route?
Yeah, well, so I had a really good schooling doing art. I absolutely loved the art department, spent like all my time there. And actually I got a scholarship for like my end of year. I think it's the last year of my school because it was for effort because I was there all the time.
Amazing.
But then I went on to do Art Foundation course at Oxford Brookes, which was really great. I didn't really feel like it. I thought it was really fun, but I think just the school element gave me enough, and it was just progressive, on what I learned at school, and then from there. My dad said, I think it was all down to my dad. He said, don't do fine art. Yeah. So I really love photography, and it kind of runs in my family. Everyone's always taking pictures. You'll always see me with my camera at an event, a party, friends, I'm the one that has taken all those photos. So I chose fine art photography.
Nice.
Showed your dad.
Yeah.
Still a little bit of element of fine art, but the course was fab. It was a bit tricky because halfway through I sort of thought this isn't really for me. I love the element like taking photos and like being involved with all that and learning about the equipment, but I think there was a lot of emphasis on why you were taking these photos, and I'd always just enjoyed taking beautiful like photos. So I ended up drawing in my degree, and they actually allowed it. So I took photography as an inspiration, and I was drawing, appropriating photographers like Carl Blossfeldt, and drawing from his, old photographs, and that relationship between like photography and drawing. So photography actually still plays a really big part in the creative art process. I'm always drawing from photos, so it wasn't something that maybe I haven't really gone down that route, but it definitely helped and definitely influences all my sort of artistic and drawing techniques
that you still use now.
Nice.
And then from studying that, you've then gone and done a whole host of the creative careers, from being a model, which I didn't realize, awesome, to being a freelance photographer, so that's the university degree coming in, and then PR, and then now running your own creative business, which I can imagine probably pulls on from all the things you've learned in those previous roles. But what has that journey been like, and what made you hop from one into the other?
It's a really interesting question. I guess it's been quite chaotic. It would look quite chaotic if you, when you read it, I'm like, oh, have I done all these things? And I think the modeling came from just meeting so many photographers on my course and getting to know people, and it was fun. So I just love that part of it. Nice. Did a bit of freelance photography here and there, and then the PR. Mostly, I think all my career paths have been down to the people that I've met, and I like to kind of dabble, and I like to be told that I'm good at something. So if someone's said, oh, I see that you would be great for this role, that's how the PR came into it. I was working at London Fashion Week as like one of the interns. Well, it was kind of like running around for the events, and it was really fun with the headsets and
amazing. The power of the headset.
I met the lovely girls at JAPR, Amy and Jess, and they were just incredible. They sort of saw that something in me, and just from meeting at that event, and then we crossed paths again when I was working at Selfridges selling personalized Nutella. I mean, crazy.
Amazing.
And I was looking for jobs at this time. It was like,
I've seen that stall in Selfridges. Yeah. I didn't realize it's been there for quite a few years then.
Yeah, it used to be like on the top floor, and there was quite a few. I don't know how it is now, maybe it's changed, but there were about 6 of us selling. That it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the stand. I don't think it's on the top floor or the
Is it so
floor.
busy? Is it was it?
It was so busy. I mean, this was quite a few years ago, but I met Amy and Jess again, and they were like, what are you doing? And I was saying I was looking for a job, and they were like, we must be in touch. So I started with them when they were so new, and it was just the 3 of us, and they kind of, I grew into that role, and they were so fantastic. And I stayed there for 4 years, but I was still drawing on the side. I was part-time with them. And they did offer me full-time role and wanted me to stay on and things, but I think by that point this was when I started teaching painting classes for art night, and I saw that I needed to be a bit more creative and move into something that was my own, and I was really passionate about, and so I left there. But that was brilliant, and that obviously gave me a lot of it just taught me a lot of things, and I enjoyed just being around people, and doing the events as well, because they ran a showroom, so we went to Paris and for Fashion Week and things, so it was quite exciting.
That must have been amazing to experience.
So glamorous. I mean, it's not, but
I can imagine behind the scenes probably isn't as glamorous, putting everything together, but just being there, gosh.
It was fab. And the food, like it was amazing to be able to go out to these lavish meals and enjoy the French food. I'd always get snails.
I've never eaten that.
I've never tried. How would you describe a snail?
Oh, it's like chicken, but a bit more slimy.
It's like a slimy chicken.
It's like a slimy chicken, and it's kind of earthy, but then you've got the lovely garlic butter
in it. People do really, I think maybe if you just don't think it's a snail, it's a nice experience.
And a nice bread. You've got to have like the dipping bread. So no, you must try them, because I think once you try, whether you like it, and then if you do like it, it will become a regular thing.
It's a life-changing thing.
Exactly.
And with that experience, on reflection, what advice would you give yourself, your old self now, just seeing all the things you've done and where you are?
I think I tell myself not to stress as much as I do, and also to know that you are going to make mistakes along the way, and not to take those to heart, because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I love to make people happy, and I get a real buzz from that, but sometimes I think I care a bit too much. So that's what eats at me. And I need to find a way to
detach a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be my, just to, I know it sounds bad, but care a bit less.
Yeah, do you know what?
No,
It doesn't sound bad. And I mean, I'm also a bit of a people pleaser as well. And it's something definitely learning. It's just, sometimes you just got to do what you want to do and what's right for what you're doing, because you really can't please everybody. It's impossible to please everybody, at least to the same extent. And I think if you end up doing that, you can end up losing your own way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I also, one other thing, I think learning to say no to things, because I tend to say yes to everything, and I always come through. I mean, I'm not going to say yes to something and then flake at the last minute. I'm just not like that. But to sort of lower the stress level, it's you've got to weigh up is this the right decision? And when I immediately wanted to come onto your podcast when you asked me, thank you so much, by the way, I haven't mentioned that. Thank you. And I sent it to my family in WhatsApp, and one of my brothers said, oh, he didn't even know what it was. He just said, you must do it. Yeah, obviously I was thinking it too, but and I've just been, and I was like, I'm busy, and they were like, we need it done. I'm like, oh, I need to do this. Yeah. So I think once you commit, you've got to push through. I'm not a flaky person, which is good. And saying no to some things is definitely better in the long run.
Yeah, makes sense.
Amen.
Not this though, because I had to say yes to this.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And it seems kind of on the creative side that you've not stubbornly kept time to do the creative stuff, but kind of you could have gone full time in the PR job, but you wanted to keep it part time, and you could work on commissions and things like that.
Yeah.
And I know you're kind of like with time, because you're quite busy, you're struggling to do a little bit on the commission side, that'll come back and it'll be all good. But do you feel you're kind of destined to be making creative things, and that's kind of the pathway? And I've jumped ahead on a question that's later in the thing, but kind of just because we're on the career point of view, it seems like you're kind of like, I want to be creative and spend a lot of my time doing that, and I'm going to make sure I kind of keep time in my week to do that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely a fair question. It's a difficult one, because it's a very fair comment. This year has been so challenging, and I haven't managed to, I don't think, stay as creative as I would have hoped. I was hoping that running my own business would allow me to sort of share the load and have time to do the creative, but I just am swamped in London Makers Market at the moment. And have been for the last year, because it's so, as I was saying, that I mean, we might come on to this in a bit, but like having a regular something, even if it's not commissions, because at the moment commissions are really taking a back seat. I find it so hard to give up a day. I'm just like, no, I need to be on my emails, I need to be on my laptop doing
we hear that completely. Gosh, we have, sorry to interrupt, but like we completely hear that. Yeah.
Do you find it difficult as well?
Yeah, so much.
It's gotten better. I think the first year of any business is just reactive, jumping on opportunities, and you learn about the saying no more from saying yes loads, and kind of the impact that can have. But you kind of have to almost just roll with the punches in the first year, and then you kind of get a little bit better the second year, and then a little bit better the third year, and then the fourth year is kind of like you're on. Well, I found at least you're almost, the company is a different thing to you. And I think for the first couple of years, it's like you and the company are the same thing. And it's like your emotions are all rolled up in it. And it's like, so it's kind of, it just comes with time. I think the kind of the detachment a little bit.
But we definitely have, we set it up. I set it up because I wanted to do more creative things. And then ironically, you don't actually get that much time to do it because you're busy helping other people. And so,
Yeah. It's so true. And also, I mean, I'm following so many incredible small businesses and makers on Instagram, for instance, and I'm just plastered with all this great content, like every day, every minute of every day. And I'm like, I could be doing that.
Yeah, I know. I could
yeah.
be. Yeah, I.
But like from the outside, from us looking at what you're doing, it's
Yeah,
amazing what
it's
you've done.
really,
And like
really
you've so
cool.
many people going to the market, so many great businesses being
You're
involved in it.
supporting.
And then
Yeah.
like, and we'll get on to the market a little bit more, but like
Mm,
from what we can see on the outside, it's going really, really good, and
yeah.
you're doing a really good job. So hopefully that's some
Thank you.
consolation for the stresses and everything.
Yeah.
I guess kind of going back a little bit to creativity, why is it important to you, and kind of what benefits do you think there are from being creative?
I think the main one is just switching off and allowing yourself to really immerse yourself in this creativity and this something you're creating yourself is amazing to say that you've achieved, and I've done this, I've made this from my hands. I think it's obviously that's the end product, but the beginning and like the process of just being completely switched off, I think, and you're really concentrating on that one thing. I mean, it does take a lot of specifically the commissions, they do take a lot of concentration, and it can be very draining.
Yes.
But on the flip side, something like life drawing, where I'm finding that I'm way more kind of expressive and not worrying about each mark so much, I really find it very relaxing, and it helps me with all sorts of things. Yeah, I guess it helps me sleep, it helps me de-stress, it helps me feel good about myself, I think. And also just being involved when you're on, say, like an online class with 100 people, just all sharing the same experiences, being part of a community even though you don't know each other is really fantastic. I think also just feeling, you know, that someone's proud of you for something you've like done. I think that recognition, someone saying they really like something you've made, is one of the great things and keeps you going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're getting towards the end of making something, it's just a thought, oh, I can't wait to show Diana, or I can't wait to show this person. Just like, it's such a nice reveal moment when you've created something.
Yeah, especially as Olivia's saying, you've created something for somebody, and the way it moves them is really wonderful. Yeah.
It's always really difficult with commissions because you can't share them right away.
No.
They're like presents or something, and you just want to get it out there. You just want to tell people you've done this, and then you have to wait, and then sometimes you forget, and then
oh no, yeah, exactly.
And I guess on the commissions, because I know people listening, there's lots of things that could be drawn that would be relevant for them. And I know you do lots for weddings and pets and cars and things like that, and people's homes almost, which I think is really nice to kind of have a drawing of each home or apartment you've lived in during your life. Do you have any interesting backstories, I guess, to any of the commissions you've done over the years?
All of the commissions stemmed from just sort of one single dog drawing. I mean, it's been I never envisaged myself, you know, drawing dogs, drawing houses, drawing cars. I mean, they're quite random subject matters, but it's generally driven by the customer. So I've done, you know, one dog, and then someone's like, "You're a dog, you know, you draw dogs." And I'm like, "Well,
labels.
yeah, I mean, I guess I do." And then someone's like, "Can you draw my baby, or can you draw my car?" I'm like, "Oh, you know, give it a go." And then that kind of, you know, rolls over, and you do more of one thing, and then I have probably found out that I really enjoy drawing cars. I don't know what it is.
Nice.
The like reflections, the color, like you can't obviously get color with I draw in graphite pencil, but just the different shapes and the kind of shininess you can create, and all the intricacies on the wheels and
the detail.
So that hasn't really answered your question. Funny things, I guess sometimes when people ask, often with houses and things, they want their dogs or animals in it. Like, can you put the dog in the window, or you know, animals on the front lawn? And I've had one girl ask me to draw a hat on their dog.
Why was that? Just why not?
Yeah, I mean, that was quite a while ago. I can't remember what that one was for, but I can basically put anything in anywhere, you know, make all sorts of creations from like 2 images, just kind of using Photoshop. I like put them on and then I think that looks right, and then I draw from that. So
Nice.
Wow, that's really
yeah.
I've 2 extra questions here, and apologies that sprung to mind with this. One is just a little bit around the process. I know you tend to start with
Photos, yeah.
photos, photos, and then draw them. So like a tiny bit on the process. And then the second thing is, like, I get the sense generally that people really appreciate drawing and kind of offline pictures a lot more, because there was a fear when Instagram came in that people would like not like the old school stuff, but I think people almost enjoy it more. Like, somebody could have a photo of their home, but it's way more special to have a drawing of their home. Sorry, when I say a photo on their phone and they could scroll back, but it's like having a physical thing that's hanging up, I think is really special. So there are 2 very long questions, but have you found that kind of people have more of an appreciation for kind of drawing now than say 5, 6, 7 years ago, because the getting used to photos was kind of just kicking off in Instagram and stuff? And a tiny bit about your process, if you don't mind.
Interesting one. I think people like the longevity of a drawing, in that it's going to last a long time and give you pleasure from reminding you of the artist, or the place it was, or who gave you it. Maybe it was a wedding present, or a big birthday present, so from family members or something. So there's something really special about just creating. I feel like a photo is, it's a moment in time. It's, as you say, we're on our phones the whole time. We can just look at our photos. We can scroll through on our laptops. They're very readily available, whereas a drawing is timeless and one of a kind. A photo can be copied. So there's sort of different elements to it. I'm not sure if I'm really answering your question though, Sam.
No, that makes total sense.
Definitely. And I think it's just the effort and detail. People appreciate that kind of human effort and detail and capturing something. And what about your process? I know you said you mash up photos in a Photoshop, see whether it looks right, and then draw from that. Do you do any extra things, or put music on? It needs to be in a certain room. I don't know.
Only on a Saturday. That's it. Only on a Saturday. Everyone out of the house.
Yeah, it's a funny one with the commissions. I really love to just like bosh them out, and I that's probably why it takes a lot of concentration, because I want to like try and get it done like as quickly as possible. I don't know why. It's just I think it's, you get in the zone and you want to be there fully. So in order to create it, you have to be in that kind of exact zone. So I just basically try my hardest to, do it for as quickly as possible.
So you try to do it in one sitting almost, as in could take 6-7 hours.
Wow.
But it's just
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard even to get up for lunch. I just get really in the zone, and
that's incredible.
So that's kind of how it works. And I mean, I only mash up and use Photoshop if I'm kind of superimposing 2 images together. I generally ask for just one image, because I think I like to translate everything from that image to the paper. So if you've got multiple images, sometimes it just doesn't work. You've got different perspectives and different lighting. So often I get clients ask me, can you here are 2 photos of my dogs, can you put them together? I mean, sometimes it works, but sometimes one's just like a portrait and one's a whole picture of a dog, and you're like, it's not going to really work so well. So I do spend quite a lot of time back and forth asking the customer to make sure they're getting me good images, like high res. I can get the detail as well. Exactly. I can only draw what I can see. So that's how it works really. And what was the other? I can't remember.
I think you did. You answered both. You covered them. You covered them very well.
Nice.
So you've told us about your drawing, your commissions. I just can't even imagine. I'm trying to imagine being in the zone for 7 hours. I'm absolutely blown away by that. I think that's detailed. Yeah, I think that's that feeling must be so good, and I can see why you say it's so draining. But that's that side of your life, your working life. what is running your business like, and what rituals do you have to relax and de-stress? And I wondered, do you use creativity for that, or actually is it you keep that very separate?
On that point, actually, sorry to cut across, like running a creative business, I found it's hard to detach from the creative when you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
To use it as a relaxing thing.
Yeah.
Like go do liner printing. I'm like thinking of a liner printing class, or like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of anyway. Sorry.
No, yeah. I mean, what I like about doing the commissions is often because it's for someone. I'm happy to give it away. It's a weird thing, but I have when I'm creating my own drawings for, say, you know, I do t-shirts and tea-towels, so that's also a backseat at the moment. But you know, I can't give the originals away. I don't know what it is. There's something about them. I'm like really attached to them. But whereas if someone's, you know, paying for something and it's not any relation to you, it's their dog or their, you know, it's so easy to
give it away.
Hand it over.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, if it's your own, it's much more difficult. But yeah, trying to break up the creative business side is actually very challenging, especially at the moment. Last year when I was in lockdown actually for 5 months in the country at my parents', and it was the most magical time. Like, I'm so happy to have had that, spend some time with them, and also just I had all my art materials out. This was for the first few weeks. It did stop a little bit after that, but just to like create basically with nothing else. Obviously there was worries, but I did feel very in a bubble there, and I create, and you know, the world had stopped, so you didn't feel guilty about taking time off, and I am so happy that I got to do that. And that was the time I was really like expressive, and I really want to go back to that, because just having the freedom to just get back, I think, to more school days, because at school I was so expressive and I just tried everything, and I was, you know, drawing with both hands and all these kind of things, and that's when I got back into life drawing actually, and I was doing these online sessions, so that has been great. I mean, this year I've been doing so many, and met an artist who does life drawing at Propercorn in London, and Bella Franks, and I went to her classes a lot, and then she started doing them online, and I've been doing their classes basically every Tuesday. They stopped for a while, but with We Are Furley, and it's just brilliant to switch off, and it's good to just have that in the week and be like, Tuesday night, that's my creative
so that's
night.
what you do every Tuesday.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I try to. I haven't the last like couple of weeks, but I will when.
And that's at WEAREFERLY. Is that the right spelling? We Are
Furley.
Furley
is an app.
Furley. Yeah, it's a sex app, but they do. It's We Are Furley on Instagram, and so I mean, Billy does a little intro about the app, but also, and then mainly it just goes on to the life drawing. They just wanted to create something for the community that's actually. They've done so well with it. They've been over 100 people every time, and and they obviously support the models who haven't maybe had work, or
is it free?
No, it's not, but it's super affordable. It's like under £6.
Amazing.
Nice.
Gosh, with 100 people, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So anyone listening, check that out.
Yeah. I think I did a talk with Billy.
Oh yeah. They came to the studio as well at some point. So de-stressing. I know you mentioned having a bath during the day before we were chatting, which sounds great.
Yeah.
Has that been a good
vehicle? Tool that you use as well? So when I heard it on the podcast Conversations of Inspiration with Holly Tucker and Sir Tim Smith, he said that I never really had baths before this, and he just said, take a bath in the middle of the day because it really relaxes you and helps you sleep. So I was like, oh, this sounds great. So I think that day or the day after, I was taking a bath, and maybe not in the middle of the day, but sort of in a day. I mean, that's allowed. and yeah, it really did help me relax. And I got all the candles out and I switched off. And I think it is a good thing. Maybe, I mean, even just a bath in the day, it doesn't have to be like the middle of the day, but if you are feeling stressed, maybe it would be good to get in the bath and just have a moment, or get outside. I think that's a big thing, just getting out for a walk every day and telling yourself that that is one thing that you've got to do, is at least 10-minute walk. And we're really lucky that we've got a little local park nearby, and I've been going there every day for a few laps. And I've even I've made friends with a neighbour because I'm obsessed with her dog, and
brilliant.
we go for walks now. It's so nice.
Yeah, that's so nice. I think that's one thing everyone has appreciated over COVID, right? The power of a power walk.
Yeah.
The power of a good 10-minute walk just to clear your mind. And I think it just increases your concentration as well. When you come back down, you feel like you can focus a bit more.
Yeah. And it's taking a bit of time to listen to your podcast or listen to another podcast. I've been listening a lot to Conversations of Inspiration. I think hearing and what you do, hearing from others and learning their journeys, and saying that it's not an easy ride, and you kind of feel a bit comforted that they might be in the same boat as you, or you might be in the same boat as them. And there was another podcast I got really into, and I've completely forgotten the name of it, but it will come to me. And it's Brooke Castillo, and it's like a life coach podcast. And my friend told me about it in lockdown, and I got completely hooked. I was over 100 episodes. Over 100 episodes I've listened to, and it really changes your mindset. I think it's a great one to listen to, because you learn a lot about yourself, and you can sort of find ways to not change but alter what you're doing that might help you in a relationship or in your business. It honestly, it was the best thing I ever listened to.
Wow.
So how do you spell that? Good. Just for people listening.
Yes.
Brooke.
I'm literally, oh yes, I know what it is. It's called the Life Coach School podcast.
Cool. Life Coach School.
And it's Brooke with an E. Castillo. Because she says it in an American accent, so I'm not exactly sure how it's
how it says. Yeah.
Cool. No,
I mean, the Life Coach School, that sounds really, really good. Oh
yeah.
I must listen to that. I love a good life coaching podcast. It's the advice that I guess your friend, you don't have a friend that's giving you, but you're getting it through the podcast. You're like, oh yeah. And
you always pick one thing up at least from it, even if it's I'm doing the right thing and it doesn't matter what they've said, or there's something very practical that's kind of given. You always come away feeling better from listening to things like that.
I really love the Lewis Howes one, the School of Greatness. Do you know that one?
No, I don't know that one.
That if you like life coachy stuff, I would recommend that. He interviews just amazing, all sorts of amazing people, from athletes to celebrities, and some of the questions that come out so good.
I need to get those details off you. But yeah, I know it's amazing what's out there, all this material, and you guys giving up your time to create the podcast for others is just it's really fantastic, because it makes people's day, just listening, as I say, going on their walk to listen to a chat to relax, and it's brilliant.
Get a different perspective.
So moving on to the big thing, London
LMM.
Makers Market / LMM for short. It's been, I guess it's a little bit over a year now since you kind of came up with the idea. And as we said earlier, it's been amazing seeing how quickly it's grown, how many markets you've had, all the great businesses that have been on it. I guess it would be great to hear, or for the listeners to hear, what makes you so passionate about it, because you clearly work very, very hard on it. And what was the spark to make you get it up and running and continue with it?
Okay, so I think as a small business, as an artist myself, I know how challenging it is, running a business, but also getting yourself out there. And in my market, I try and, give as much information as possible to the makers. This was specifically online ones, because I think they could learn a tremendous amount. And I was, giving them all sorts of tips on things that I was learning myself about, because I was, completely immersed in like Instagram. I was learning about Reels, and I was learning about what was good and what would work, and how the algorithm kind of obviously no one knows how the algorithm works, but how it sort of works. And I was just reeling any kind of tips or videos I'd watched, or anything that's going to help, I feel like helped me, I knew would help them. I know this is kind of not really starting the way that I wanted to, but I think it was initially, I loved running events, and I did pop-ups around London and things, and really enjoyed the buzz and meeting new people, I think, helping others out. So that was the main drive. And then I just thought, let's give it a go, and I just created it, not really thinking it would really be much. And this was at the beginning, this was February 2020. And I wanted to just help others, and I'd met so many creatives and makers along the way, like the previous year doing markets myself, and so I sort of built a little community anyway, and they were all keen, so it kind of spurred me on to start. And so then I started in February thinking, let's do physical markets. I had venues booked, even Christmas I had a big haul booked and paid for, and it was looking really good. And obviously everything came and it all changed, but it was almost, I don't know, blessing in disguise a little bit, because I was so new, to gain that exposure, bigger exposure, and get the presence on social, and make me make a website and all these things I hadn't actually thought about. That sort of 5 months in lockdown, I just basically concentrated on learning how to build this business. I watched a lot of I'd recommend Google Digital Garage. They have free videos on SEO and how to stay safe online, and all these different things, and marketing and like social media, and it's all free, so it's great. That gave me a lot of tips and things. I also got some help from a business coach, and so then it was May that I was meant to be doing this physical market in 2020, and that obviously got cancelled. So I decided to do an online event and spent that whole month organizing this, and I did it for free. So there was about 200 or 180 businesses involved.
Wow.
I think about 220 Instagram stories, like people, like makers. So 180. I didn't really envisage it being that much, so I'd said I'll put everyone on the website, blah 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 blah, and then there was 180 makers on the website. And read that, I mean, I've never experienced my phone being so like buzzy, and that whole day was just like I was on my phone like reposting stories, and it was great. People did well, and that kind of spurred me on to book in more dates, and change it up a bit and be a bit more selective, and have a certain number of makers and narrow it down to about 30, so everyone could have room to shine, and there wasn't any competing businesses. I mean, that's a big thing, because you don't want 10 jewelry brands, you want
fighting over each other.
Exactly. And everyone, even if you've got 3 or 4 candle brands, one of them has a wooden wick, one of them has normal, one of them's made of rapeseed wax, they're all different. Maybe their containers are different. Maybe one has glass containers, one has aluminium or whatever. So changing it up a bit. And it was great. It was really the community though, and the people that I made friends with and met and sort of connected with through Instagram that kept it going, because every time I did one I was like, oh damn, am I going to do another one? And then and then there'd be people, when is the next one, when's the next one? And I've learned so much, and been really fortunate to have met, well, virtually met some of them in real life, which is so nice, but fortunately met a lot of incredible people that just keep it going. And that's why I always say we on Instagram and everywhere, because it is a kind of collective. I don't really see it as my thing. It should be for everyone. And it's hard to say
and we sounds bigger as well. It sounds like there's a big team behind, like doing the actual admin and stuff like that.
No, but it's great that it's
universal,
nice that you feel it's it's amazing. And I think that's just a testament to what you've built, to feel like your customers are part of that movement with you, because that's what a great business does. It kind of, it builds a we rather than just, and it's not an individual movement. Yeah.
When I began, I mean, there was a question about the eco-conscious, you know, sustainability element. I really wanted the market to show that ethos right from the start. So February, when I, you know, launched everything, that was always like at the forefront of my mind when I was thinking about who to bring on. And I probably haven't like pushed it enough. I haven't been really you know, forceful with it, because I think there's such a fine line between like sustainability, you know, people just throwing it around, and that's why I chose the name like eco-conscious, because they're all trying. They're not, you know, they're not saints. No one is like doing everything absolutely perfectly. It's so hard to you know, little steps are the way forward. And even if that's just using recyclable, reusable packaging, or buying from, you know, local suppliers, and, you know, maybe you're planting a tree for every order, or working with other organizations, something like that. It's the little steps. And I think small businesses are really on top of it. They more so than, you know, big ones who've got a big team to work through and all these, I don't know, problems in their way, whereas small businesses are, you know, one or two people, and they can really think about it and make sure that they're trying to be as sustainable or eco-conscious as possible with, you know, all that they do. I recently actually I got an order from a small business of some earrings, and everything was plastic free, and it was just really nice. I just opened it, and it wasn't fussy. It was just a bit of like pink like tissue paper, and, you know, simple but effective. And I mean, I'm stacked up with all my packaging here, just completely just keep everything to reuse, or you know, wrap pictures in to send to people or things like that. There's just so much cardboard around.
It really feels like a big change is happening finally, because small businesses are so passionate about it. Consumers now are kind of demanding it. The next thing is the big companies kind of sorting it out, like, and kind of, because they have a huge impact. So but it'll happen. I think it seems that it's the momentum's behind it, which is really, really good.
Definitely.
Oh, sorry,
I was going to say, it was, you know, Earth Day yesterday. Restore our Earth was their campaign slogan. And obviously I think lockdown has been hugely beneficial as well, like seeing the change, seeing things come back to life, and that 5 months that nothing was you know, nothing was running, everything was at a standstill, like really hit home. And I just hope that will continue, because at least it's waking people up.
Definitely. And I love how much it's made people think to source more locally. And, you know, instead of always just going on Amazon or going to big Tesco, just thinking, oh, actually, maybe that shop next door, maybe I'll check out their website and just order from them. And I really hope that stays, because it's just, it was amazing to see.
Yeah, exactly.
With the market, I guess, what can people expect with the market? So I know the first one in the new location in Greenwich is happening next weekend, which is before the podcast might come out. But what can people expect in terms of the types of stalls that are there, and kind of what's made you so, what's your proudest moment been from doing it? Or have you been able to reflect, because it's been so busy, to actually take solace in the good stuff you've done and the achievement?
Yeah, well, I mean, online, I'll just quickly talk about that, because that was obviously all of last year. I was running these online markets, and I think, it's like 300, I can't remember the exact figure. I think it was over 300 businesses that were, you know, involved in, so having helped them out and made, you know, help them get sales, help them get exposure, help them, you know, get more followers and tips on the future. They've, you know, gained so much. I think that's made me proud, because I often get lovely messages saying how beneficial it was, and how, you know, they now only want to do my market kind of thing. It's really nice to hear. But those, what was the question again?
Sorry. So what's made you proud from doing it, and kind of what's like generally, what's a market generally like in terms of what types of companies can be there? You mentioned jewelry businesses earlier, but I'm sure there's a real mix.
Yeah, so all sorts. It's really widened my knowledge of like what can be created. So many things.
Probably write a book.
At
this stage with your arts and crafts knowledge.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, artists, illustrators, candle makers, woodworkers, you know, people that make clothing, kids pieces, ceramics. I'm absolutely obsessed. Just, you know, printmaking. I've bought so much from all the businesses.
I can imagine.
Constantly buying things, but then some, you know, later on towards Christmas we had businesses that were selling like foodie products, like spice mixes or honey or sweets in like biodegradable packages, things like that. So it is a real mix, like a bit of everything. Nothing has had like fresh food, so like bakes yet, but a lot of people are interested in it, so there must be, you know, they must do well at other markets if they're keen to sell like fresh baked bits and pieces, and yeah, it's just amazing what's out there. So these, I mean, it's a shame though, because at the online markets you obviously can't like touch or smell or do that. So I came up with this show and tell idea that I started in, I think, October, where I got the makers to send me things, and did a whole live on it, and ran through the products myself. So I was telling people how they smelled, how they felt, or, you know, just how gorgeous they were, and like what packaging they arrived in, and a little bit about each business if I could fit it in. But that was really good fun, and those live videos actually are like the most viewed on our like stats.
Amazing.
So it's really, it's good because all the businesses get a shout out, and you can kind of hear a bit more about
the product.
It's a kind of collective, and it's a collective. It's not just like an individual, it's like a collective group of talented individuals making these, you know,
gorgeous products
things. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
But then I can't really say much about the physical markets yet, but they will obviously have a similar range of products, and I hope it will just be, you know, 10 times better, because you're actually there meeting the makers, and I think that is a huge thing. And the makers can fit it. So it's with online, there are so many factors that can get in the way of getting that sale in, like clicking that buy button. You know, your kids could be running around, I'll look at this later, and then you forget. So with a physical market, you can really, I think, just involve yourself in the customer as a maker. Like, you can just connect with them so much more, and hopefully get those sales in a bit better.
Brilliant.
That's really nice. And I guess with the virtual side, one thing that I think lots of small businesses didn't appreciate before this all happened was that it makes you go global. So I'm sure that you have orders coming in
from around
for
the
people
world,
from all over the place.
There's
no chance to see them.
Sorry, I'm cutting into you. America, Australia, like, and it's amazing seeing the stats and seeing where people, like, all these little random places that people are tuning in from. And they're like Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, all these, you know, like Honolulu.
Amazing.
So it is, and that's why I think it's important to still do
a virtual site.
Exactly, have the makers who are taking part physically also on the website, so that any customers that are used to seeing online can still shop and support and find new businesses.
It's a really good name as well, so nice job. I haven't mentioned that, but London Makers Market, it's very, just sounds quality, and like that there's a history.
It just sounds like somewhere I want to go.
Exactly. that's good. I mean, it's not that inventive. It's like Makers Market with London in front of it. But I'm glad you like it.
I think a good name just has to say what the thing is.
Yeah. I can picture people in Australia looking for stuff. They might know a bit about Britain and they're like, oh, London, mate, this is where all the good stuff is going to be. So I'm going to check it out. Perfect.
I love how, we've been talking mainly about the kind of business side of things and how you're passionate about supporting the creative community and seeing them grow. And you obviously have an appreciation of it being an artist, but I guess from people who are not creative, why would you say being creative is good and using stuff that's been created by somebody else? Why is creativity good for you? Why is it good for the soul? What's incredible about being creative?
I think even if you don't believe yourself to be creative, everyone has creativity in them, and it does come with practice and time. And I often I'll have people come to my lessons or classes or whatever I'm doing, or just at home, and they're like, I'm just not good at drawing, I'm not good at that. And you're like, you are, because your work is actually good to someone. Look, someone else thinks your work's good because there's so many different opinions out there, and everyone's got different tastes that you might not feel it's good, but there is bound to be someone else who loves it and would put it on their wall, if you know what I mean. So and again, you can't pick up something and be amazing at it right from the beginning. All these artists, everyone that's pursuing any kind of creativity hasn't just rocked up and it's happened. They have spent years they've spent a lot of time and energy to get where they are. And I think that's something that often people that don't create think that they just think it's in your blood, but there's an element of that, but there's also the time and effort and all the rest of it that goes with producing. I think it's great to just get creative and put something on paper or get some materials out and start playing around, because it's just, well, it's using part of your brain that you're probably not using elsewhere, and it's allowing you to focus on that one thing, get stuck in and completely lose yourself. And that is just, it makes you feel really good to think, oh, I've just spent an hour doing that, I feel really relaxed. So I don't feel stressed, I'm not thinking about work, I'm completely immersed in that situation, I think. But it is hard to stop what you're doing and pick up pencil and paper or whatever you want to do. It is, if you're not used to it, it's you might have so many obstacles in the way, but if there's something there in sight, why not just play it and get a little plant and start just putting some marks on the paper, because it's all about mark making, and lots of artists have made lots of money with just a few marks on the paper.
Or even just do squiggles, play with colors. Doodle. I think there's people put themselves under a lot of pressure with, they need to make this amazing thing. If they're ever going to get creative, it's no, just some squiggles and color it in. And even just doing that for 10 minutes, there's science behind it. Just doing that for 10 minutes will reduce your anxiety and stress levels, and you will feel a bit of tension release. Just I'm pretty sure it's about 10 or 12 minutes. BBC did a study around it, which is really powerful. It's just sit down 10 minutes, do some squiggles, color in, and you will feel better after, potentially.
That reminds me of those books you can get where you can just color in the pages. Very mindful.
Definitely. That's what actually kickstarted us. We were doing loads of the coloring books, and you just think, gosh, do this for 20 minutes and you feel so good. And I used to actually cut them out and stick them in cards.
Oh, maybe make your own. Needs to make a coloring book.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Gosh, different artists, and then you color in the different pieces.
That's a really nice idea.
this Christmas 2021.
2021,
M.Y.O
everybody.
colouring book.
An M.Y.O colouring book.
But it's incredible how you guys have pivoted from doing your physical markets and now offering like the workshops and the kits online and things like that. How's it been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been.
I think it's been fine.
Yeah. I think at first you're like, what? We were, because we started being very physical. At first was very like everybody was like, what do we do? But yeah, it's been really really good. And what you were saying about having a global reach and getting those random orders, definitely, you know, it's enabled us to have customers and send kits out to Japan, which I found particularly random, all over the US, and yeah, just interact with more people around the world and feel like you can reach more people around the world, which I think has been really good.
And kind of we're lucky because we've been doing it for a few years that there is lots of companies we've had in the studio that needed to do virtual things, so that was kind of lucky. And then we got we've been doing lots of content creation for a couple of brands, which is kind of top secret. We can't quite talk about it. But so we feel very fortunate with everything that's happened. But are very excited for the studio to reopen. Whenever that is.
It is always nice seeing people and meeting people in real life. It's hard to.
Is this the Borough one or the Peckham one?
The Borough one. Borough one.
Yeah. So we left Peckham after a year because it was just far too much work. We like self-funded the business and we were like, oh, let's get a second studio. Great. And then, okay, now we need to fill a second studio and get a team and promote it. And it was like, it was going good, but then it was just, this isn't the life we want. We don't want to be working 7 days a week and coming home at 11 o'clock at night and moving stock between the studios.
There was a lot of moving stock between the studios.
So it was good fun. Glad it was really nice to build a studio from scratch in Peckham.
Yeah.
But kind of after a year, we just said, this, and I think that's an important thing for anyone listening who wants to set up a company, is like, you have to do, the company eventually has to give you the life you want. It'll be hard at the start, but kind of, if you don't want to be working 7 days a week all the time, you can make adjustments.
You can create a company that does that, you know, and keep recreating it and tweaking it, which is what we're still in the middle of doing. But
changes every week. But anyway, enough about us. Back to you, and we're kind of coming towards the end of the podcast. So kind of, it'd be really nice to hear, first of all, like the future. What do you see the future being like in terms of London Makers Market, and also your commissions and the other sides? Like 10 years time, what would Olivia like to be doing? And then where can people find out about you? We mentioned them at the start, but we might as well reshare the Instagrams and websites. So where do you see yourself in the future, and where can people find out more?
So it's a tricky one because I like working on my own. I have full control. I know exactly, you know, I can be accountable for every single thing because it's just me. So growing is obviously, it's kind of scary. I mean, I like it how it is, but I know that I'm taking on a bit too much for just me. And I know that I've got to improve in like so many different ways, especially like accounts and things like that. But Hugo, my partner, always constantly, do you have a spreadsheet for that? Do you have a spreadsheet for that?
Keep the receipts.
Oh, I've got a spreadsheet for everything else. No, but I mean, it's all pretty easy to like go back to, but it's a time saver, obviously, if you've already put in all the information. But I'm really excited about these markets at Old Royal Naval College and the fact that they've kind of given me this opportunity to showcase the businesses. I met them at Christmas when they did a small market there, and I was selling products from makers that I really admire, like London Makers Market community members, and I just got in touch with them. And I mean, it was basically wholesale. I was so it was an interesting step, and that's something that I'd probably like to look into in the future.
Brilliant.
You could go to other markets and have a London Makers Market stall.
Yes, I mean, that it was so fun, because I love to sell. I love meeting people. I love also the fact that all the products that I had, I absolutely
Loved.
So like there was no stopping me when I was trying to promote these makers and being like,
are you sure you want that postcard? I want to buy that one.
Yeah, so it was great, and everything sold so well. It was amazing. I was really actually blown away with how well it went. And I've had an idea about a sort of online shop for a while, so who knows, that might be another thing as well. So that is potential. I mean, the market idea, doing more market selling, LMM goodies would be really fun as well. I'm just excited to get these markets going and actually sort of move a little bit offline, like because it is all consuming, and especially when like Instagram is your business, it's very like anxiety inducing, and I just too much screen time, basically, like all day, every day, just my eyes can't take it. I've definitely struggled a bit with that in the last year, and I was never an anxious person. So I think learning to adjust and work out what's going to work best for me, seeing how these markets go, and then assessing from there. Is I don't want to take on too much, and I don't want to put too many goals in place, because I think goals can be quite not restricting, but it's a difficult one, because you want to improve, but you don't want to be let down. And I'm the kind of person that doesn't like letting myself down, letting other people down. And so I think for me, it's best not to put too many like goals in place, or it must be this, it must be that, because I'm quite reactive person, I guess. So go with the flow, and like very much like if it's working, it's working. And then so I don't like to have those set goals, otherwise it just messes with me.
And that's that's totally fine and fair. And actually, we've spoken to a few people who are not. I think we hear about goal driven people more than non-goal driven, but I think a fair few people actually don't like having that. And I think the beauty of that, it gives you flexibility to explore where things might take you. And I think that's definitely how we run M.Y.O at the beginning. The first couple of years was very much explorative, because with a new business, you don't know what you start with might not be with where you end up 5 years time. And it's cool to see what it could become, and being open to that, I think is so important. It's a creative approach.
That's really comforting to hear. Thanks.
And then people can hear from you. Where's the best Instagram accounts to find out more about you and the markets
and the next websites? Market date, you sent something in May or June.
Yes, so 2 accounts. My personal art account, which is just my name, Olivia Huntingford. I also have a website as well, where I've got all my commissions and everything that I do on there, so you can have a look at that. And then London Makers Market is the Instagram handle, and londonmakersmarket.com is our website, where we list all of the businesses involved. We have other things on there as well, blog posts, interviews. We do chats with makers monthly, which is something I started in lockdown. I was just before the first online market for about 6 weeks. I was going live every other day with with a different maker, and that I'd never been live before. It was great, and I learned. I mean, obviously chilled out. I've chilled out a little bit more now, but at the beginning I was a raving mess. So for anyone that's looking to go live, definitely do it and pursue, because you'll just get better and better at it, and it's really good for your exposure, and your Instagram will favor you if you go live. And that's about it, I think.
So check those out immediately, everybody that's listening. But Olivia, it's been so nice to chat, and well done with everything you've done. It's kind of it's almost as well like it's all your experience has been bundled into this.
Into
I do PR, doing photography, doing art, like it's and event management. I know you did operations as well with the PR job. It's like this is a manifestation, and I guess that's partly why it's going so well. So it's really nice to see that you've kind of found your groove, I guess, and applying all the things you've learned.
And I'm just so excited to see where it goes, and LMM live in person. It's just
so please do come along. I didn't
Yeah.
mention that the June event so it's the first weekend of every month. So we June, July, and then there's a break in August. So if you can, it would be great to see you. And there's so many. I'm already confirming businesses for July, and there's so many brilliant makers. I'm so excited.
Oh, amazing. We definitely will.
Yeah, we'll pop over. Cool. Thank you so much, Olivia. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Dan and Sam. So lovely to see you.
So that's the end of that episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and would love to hear what you learned. If you haven't yet, be sure to click that subscribe button and get first dibs on all future episodes.
Also, be sure to check out the previous ones because there's some fantastic nuggets and amazing guests there too. We do this podcast for free in the hope that you can benefit from it. So any support you can give us would be incredible. Please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, your parents, your cats and dogs about it. We would love to really grow this podcast even better. Please leave us a review. We love reading them.
And if you'd like to explore that creative side of yours, be sure to check out at M.Y.O London or at Creative Jungle Co on Instagram and get in touch.
Here's to a much more creative and happier life.
You got this, you creative legend.